Hello viewers, welcome back to the CarCave. Now, every manufacturer has its ugly duckling of the bunch, right? And there are manufacturers that only have ugly ducklings. They only make cars that don't look good. But every once in a while, a manufacturer makes a car that looks absolutely amazing and just crazy. The flip side to that is, every once in a while, a manufacturer will make something that's absolutely hideous. And that's what I want to focus on today. Now, the cars that I chose today are not ugly just because they're ugly cars. They're especially ugly to me because they came from manufacturers that should have known better. So these are my top five, well, I guess that's 10, top five ugly cars that never should have been made. Number one on the list, and now these are not in any particular order. This is just the cars that I think are really ugly. I'll name them in order. However, the last car is by a country mile the ugliest car I have ever seen, and I hate it. So stay tuned to see what that is. But number one is the BMW E36 3 Series hatchback. Now, BMW makes really good cars, and in my opinion, the E36 generation is one of the better looking generations that they had. I love that boxy style. It looks really good. And the 3 Series hatchback looks totally fine from the front, but as you kind of make your way to the side, you start to realize that there's something wrong. It just doesn't look good. It looks so ugly. It looks like they were designing the car, they wanted it to be a wagon, they kind of changed their mind halfway through, couldn't come to a consensus, and then just gave up. And it really shows. The car is absolutely hideous. Number two, keeping in line with the Germans, is Mercedes-Benz. So same deal. Mercedes-Benz makes some really nice cars, especially back in the early 2000s, but this is not a nice car. It's the C320 hatchback. Now, this one is almost worse because it looks like they wanted it to be a cool two-door, and then it became a hatchback, and then it kind of just became somewhere in the middle. It's like the design team wanted to do both as two separate cars, but the budget only allowed for one. So they had one really bad idea to make a coupe hatchback, and it just doesn't look good. Number three, sticking with Mercedes-Benz. Now, I'm sticking with Mercedes because they tend to make really good cars, and modern cars, for the most part, look pretty good from every brand, especially Mercedes-Benz. So what were they thinking in 2014 when they made the B-Class? Now, the B-Class doesn't really look bad, but it also doesn't look good. It just has awkward proportions. It looks like this weird, funky, hey, we really need an electric car to keep up with everybody else, send this out. That's the kind of message that I get from it. And it's especially bad because you consider the other kind of cars that Mercedes were making back in 2014, and they look really good, like this E-Class, for example. Great looking car, stood the test of time. So the B-Class is kind of an outlier in their lineup, and I think it's really disgusting. Number four comes from a Japanese brand, Nissan. So Nissan makes pretty cool cars. They've got the 350Z, GTR, 300ZX, 240SX. They've got a bunch of cool cars, and even their regular cars, Altima, the Nissan Versa, they're not like extraordinarily beautiful cars, but they look like cars. They're not ugly, they're not beautiful, they're just neutral. Then they came out with the Nissan Juke, and I hate the Juke. The Nissan Juke is a disgusting car. The front end, I don't know what's going on. There's all these different lights. It looks like they tried to be unique, and it didn't really work out. The Juke is the concept car that people look at and they're like, oh, they're never going to make that. That looks hideous. And then Nissan went ahead and made it. So why? I don't know. Don't make it anymore. I don't know if they still make it, but if they do, please stop. Number five, this is the last car, the worst car by a country mile, and it's also from Nissan. It's the Nissan Murano Cross Cabriolet. Just look at it. It's why? Like, you want a convertible? Fine. You want an SUV? Fine. But there are some things that just shouldn't be made. So if you want a really nice convertible four-seater, get a Rolls Royce. If you can't afford a Rolls Royce, you're not going to get one. It's not going to look good. And this is evidence of that. This is the proportions are all wrong. And it doesn't matter from what angle you look at, it's an ugly car. And the side profile is the worst. Usually when you design a cabriolet, it's supposed to have some kind of a finesse, some kind of an extra flair factor compared to the coupe or the hardtop. This doesn't. They just chopped off the roof, called it a cross cabriolet. It looks like they put a tent on top, and it's one of those tents that never really goes together properly. So that was a fail. That was horrible, Nissan. Please don't make things like that anymore. Nobody wants it. And if you've ever seen one on the road, you're one of the unlucky few, because I don't know how many people bought them, but not that many. And for good reason. Just look at it. Anyway, so that's my list. Let me know what you think. Do you agree, disagree? Are there other cars that should have been on that list? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, like if you could, subscribe if you'd like, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.